Hi there, this is John Felix, or the Battlerite ProFiler. We got a long one this time, and with good reason. Today's guest was a bottomless pit of interesting things to say. Before we get into the interview, I'd just like to say that when I don't do this, I run a small Twitch channel with my pal, and it's called Full Cooperation. So if you ever want to see us suck at games live, come find us at twitch.tv/fullcooperation. Alright, enough of that, let's go. This is Battlerite ProFile number 4 with Bloom. This is Battlerite ProFile number 4, and with us this time, it's a North American player again, none other than Bloom of Spacestation Gaming. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. How's your day been?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Glad to hear it. Okay, so if someone comes here and doesn't know you, I'd introduce you as a professional Battlerite player and streamer. You're the support player of Spacestation Gaming, formerly known as Overconfident, multiple tournament winner, and most recently you've both qualified for the LAN final at DreamHack, and you're the first ever North American BPL champion. Mm-hmm. Is there anything you'd like to add to that description?
No, you pretty much got it.
All right.
Sounds good.
Personally, I only know you from watching Battlerite and firstly from the days of Overconfident. What did you do before you played Battlerite?
I played a lot of League of Legends because I started playing League when I was like 12. I'm 17 right now. So I started playing League when I was 12. I quit around when I was like 15 because it got really boring, and I moved on to Battlerite, and then I stuck to this game ever since. All
right. What was it about League of Legends that made you feel like it wasn't for you anymore?
I've played the game for so long, and it just kind of was like the same thing over and over. The new seasons didn't interest me all that much, so I just kind of stopped playing. And then I saw one of the League of Legends players, Hayam Gosu, play Battlerite on stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, this game looks really cool. So I downloaded it, and I just stuck to it.
All right. So what was it about Battlerite compared to League of Legends then, when you actually tried it, that made you feel like this was a game for you?
One of the aspects of League is like the team fights that I always really liked, and then Battlerite is like the fun parts of League without like the boring 30 minutes of the laning phase and then farming minions and all of that. Battlerite's just like the fighting part, which is just always a lot of fun.
Were you leaning towards like support role in League of Legends as well?
That's another reason why I really like Battlerite, is because I mainly do like support characters. It's just in League they were really boring to me, so I only played mid and jungle. So when I came to Battlerite and I figured out that like you could hard carry as a support, that was like a big motivator for me.
Okay, so how long did it take for you in Battlerite before you actually realized that you're really good at the game?
So when I first started playing, I was really, really bad, obviously. I only played Pearl. I was just a dirty Pearl 1 trick. And, but yeah, I only played Pearl, and then I started doing like 2v2 tournaments and stuff, but I never got placed high. I was always like really, really bad. And then it was like last summer, I just played Battlerite like 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw that like I was in the top ranks, and I was starting to beat players that were like really well known, and I realized that I was somewhat decent at the game.
Okay, so fast forwarding a bit, maybe how did you end up on Overconfident with Proster and Diverse?
So what happened with that is that my first team that I was ever on, or first like official team, was me, Proster, and Skywind.
Mm-hmm.
I was filling in for Niwa because Niwa took a break from the game. So I was filling in as their support, and the first couple of tournaments didn't go so well. And but eventually we just kept practicing. And me, Proster, and Skywind actually ended up beating a Versus team, Legendary at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was Averse, Arakune, and Ninjas. We ended up beating them, and it was like this really big deal. We're all really happy because like no one ever really beat Legendary back then. And then the next week we beat them another time, so we beat them 2 weeks now. And then so me and Proster, we were like together, and we made a decision to leave because what happened with the verse is that he was having a rough patch with his teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened with Eric Kune and all that, so they ended up splitting up. And a verse asked me and Proster if we wanted a team, and we saw a really good opportunity to make like this powerhouse of a team. Have me, Proster, and Skywin like best support melee and range player on the same team. So we were just gonna switch Proster to melee because at the time he played ranged and Skywin played melee.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Proster ended up leaving Skywin and then making a team with the Verse, and that was like 9 months ago. So that was quite a while ago, and now that's where we are now.
All right. Okay, so talking about your teammates then, like Averse, he's like been constantly one of the most popular figures in Battlerite, right? And seen as this godlike player when it comes to skill. What would you say makes Averse so good? You're not just someone seeing it from the outside. You actually play with him constantly. What makes him that good?
I think the main thing with the Verse is that I don't think there's any other player that can like single-handedly outplay like an entire team. Like he'll just do something out of nowhere that'll completely change the round and just win us the round. Like he'll just get like this huge, like if he's playing Taya, let's get like a gigantic outplay on someone, win the trade, and then we get a huge advantage in the whole round. So he just has really high mechanical skill to be able to outplay someone and give us a huge advantage.
All right, so it boils down to a mechanical edge, you'd say.
Yeah, he's really good at mechanically outplaying people.
All right. So Proster then, what would you say is his biggest strength?
I think Proster's biggest strength is his movement because he's a melee player, so you gotta know when to move in and out. And every time I don't go against Proster much, but every time I do, I feel like it's like impossible to hit him because every time he goes in, it's just you can't. It just seems like it's so hard to punish him. That's why he was like the best Shifu by far because Shifu's such a slippery champion, and then if you pair it with someone who has insane movement, you can never really punish him. So Proster, his big thing is definitely his movement.
All right. My next question that I had written down is just a short one. It was, is Proster the best Shifu in the world?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds like he is.
There's no doubt about that. There's some people in EU who've played Shifu, and I'm not the guy who's always like I'll admit like EU is most likely better than NA. I'm not going to be the type of guy who's like NA is way better, but EU has a lot of very good teams, and it would be awesome if my team were to be able to beat EU's top team. But they're really, really good players. But they've had their Shifu players, and I've seen them play. I've seen Proster play, but the only Shifu in EU that can compete with Proster is Surime, and I still think Proster is better. Yeah,
that it's good to get some validation here because that's what I thought as well. Like when I was thinking about it, writing these questions, it was like, is Shrymia as good as Proster or not? That was basically the question.
They're both really, really good at Shifu. There's no doubt about that. But I think Proster just again because like his movement, I think he's better just because of that. Like mechanically, they're both probably the same, but Proster's movement, I've the only other melee player that I've seen have that crazy movement is like Vague. So Vague and Proster, I think, are probably some of the best melee players.
All right. Looking forward to that matchup then.
Yeah.
Vague versus Proster and just Impact versus Overconfident. That is going to be hype. But we're going to talk more about the LAN in a bit. I want to stick with the like Space Station Gaming team, like you as a roster for a bit.
Yeah.
If we're not looking at you as players or like your roles or your champions, if we just think about you as persons, like your personalities, what would you say sets the three of you apart from each other?
I seem to, I'm a lot younger than both of them, so I'm more immature, and I joke around a lot, so that's one of my things. I take it a little bit too far sometimes, and they have to warn me not to be like crazy toxic or any of that. Because like I just meme a lot basically, and Averse and Proster, they're really laid. Averse sometimes he gets pretty crazy, but they're both pretty chill. It's Averse and Proster are kind of similar, honestly. I think Proster is definitely the most like laid back one on our team. You don't ever really see him going like crazy or any of that. And then Averse holds it back, and then I'm the type of guy who just like he doesn't really care that much. So it's Averse and Proster are pretty similar. I'm probably the outlier of the team.
All right. You think the age difference is a factor there?
Maybe, or it just how I am. I feel like if I was still their age, I'd be the exact same either way.
Yeah, that's usually the case. I mean, you grow up, but you don't grow up that much.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, but one thing I wanted to ask you when it comes to this, like, do you have like different roles on the team? Not like support melee and ranged, obviously, but is there someone who has like the leadership figure and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would probably call myself the leader figure. I'm the one who does all the bans, does like I tell what Averse and Proster what they should be playing. Like when this Rook Iva Oldur meta came around, they were never like Proster doesn't play Rook, Averse doesn't play Iva, and I played a little bit of Oldur, but I don't play them all that much. And they would have never played those characters, but I was like, guys, you have to play these characters. And they're like, we don't. They of course their first impression was we don't want to. We could just find something else that we play. And I was like, there's not going to be anything else, dude. You have to play these characters. So they ended up practicing, and we played those characters in finals, and it went really well. So
yeah, that's really interesting because back in the Battlerite era, Averse usually streamed your games on his Twitch channel as well. So you could switch between which is really cool as a fan. You could switch between the actual broadcast and then to a versus stream where you could hear you guys communicate. And I switched over to your stream during a match, and you were talking about champion picks. And I don't remember exactly what champions it was, but Proster was like, "I don't want to play this champion. Not again. This is all I play. Pick this for me." And you were like, "No." I'm picking that champion for you. Deal with it.
Yeah, I do that. I do that a lot because, thing about like traits, Proster is very, very stubborn. He is a very stubborn boy. He, if he is doing something that I know is wrong, because as me playing support, I always see what's happening in the match. So, a great example. Semifinals, we were down 0-4 to Fable.
Yeah.
I told Proster the problem was he was going in on the back line. Hydar was staying back, so every time Proster would go in on the back line, they would all three punish Proster. So I told Proster, instead of going in, to stay back and stay back with us, make them go in first. He did exactly that, and then we won 5 rounds in a row, reverse sweep them. So I will always, no matter how much they tell me no, I'm going to get them to do what I want them to do because I know that's the right thing to do.
All right.
Yeah, that's they're very stubborn.
It's interesting that we have this age difference thing, but I mean, when there is this big age difference, I think a lot of people would expect that relationship to be reversed, right?
Yeah.
That either Averse or Proster would tell you what to do, would tell you what to pick. So it's cool that it is reversed. Okay, but about that then, since you are the one in charge when it comes to like drafts and stuff like that, how do you like pick these things up? If you're the one finding out that okay, it's the Iva Rook Oldur meta, you guys have to practice this, how do you come to that conclusion?
Well, I talked to a lot of the European players, and especially Vague, because LAN was coming up, or the BPL finals were coming up, and I was getting really nervous. At the time before the Season 2 patch, I wasn't that nervous because I figured we could take Fable. We got this. We can make it to LAN. And then the Season 2 patch came out, and Rook got buffed, and Oldur was always really good. And then Impact played that Rook Iva Oldur comp in EU, and Fable mains Rook Iva and Oldur, so it's like a perfect patch for them. and Vague was telling me like, this is the best comp in the game, dude. Like, you guys have to play this. And I started watching their games. I saw how much potential it had, and then we talked, and like we couldn't even find a counter comp for it. So I realized, I was like, all right, this is actually the best comp. I have to have my teammates play this to win. So I did exactly that, and that's what we had to do to win.
How much practice do you need to put in to make an adaptation like that? Like you mentioned, these are picks that, I mean, I know you guys are probably good at most champions compared to the rest of us plebs, but none of these were like the picks that you're comfortable with, either of you.
Yeah.
How long does it take for you to make that adaptation, to be able to bring it out and like 15-0 final with that comp?
Yeah. So basically, I try to get scrims every single day from the Monday, and then in that week the Saturday was the tournament. So starting on that Monday, I tried getting scrims every single day, and I told my teammates that we weren't playing anything besides Rook Iva Oldur in scrims. So because I played Oldur a little bit, I was confident with him already in like a tournament scene, so I wasn't worried. I just had to get a verse. My main worry was a verse, because he plays range characters that are really self-sufficient. They're not really like supportive range characters, and Iva's one of the most support range characters there is. So he needs to be on top of his shields, his tasers, all that stuff. And then I know Proster's, he can learn something in like 2 days, so I wasn't really worried about him, especially since Rook was really strong and really easy. So I saw Proster pick to Rook up in scrims really quick, but our main issue was a verse still. But we just kept scrimming Fireblaze's team over and over and over again. I like every time I saw a verse not shield one of us when he could have, I would yell at him. I'm like, dude, you have to shield us. You have to. And then he would start catching on to it. And then I noticed so much improvement throughout scrims. Even like in one day, I noticed how better a verse got at Iva. And I was just really proud of my teammates, because they learned those two characters so fast. And pretty much we just practiced in scrims the same exact thing over and over and over again.
How was your transition to Oldur then? Because I know I follow you on Twitter, and like before you actually started playing Oldur, but other people were doing it, you were tweeting something in the lines of, please nerf this champion. I don't want him in my games.
No, yeah, I really do not like Oldur. I hate playing him, but I had to play him. So I basically I played him in scrims, just did the same thing Averse and Proster did. I already had a lot of games on him. Averse has like no games on Iva, and Proster has like no games on Rook either. But I already had around like 300 games on Oldur, so it wasn't that bad. So I had the transition pretty easily. It wasn't that bad. I just don't like that character. It's very unenjoyable.
That's interesting. Like going back to the point about you liking playing support in Battlerite compared to League of Legends, because of how much you can hard carry, and the fact that Oldur is like considered to be such an aggressive support that's all about dealing tons of damage and maybe not being that burst healer. What is it about Oldur then that you don't like?
Well, I just think he's like really one-dimensional. Like all you're really doing is you're standing in like this turret position. You're just throwing M1s over and over and over again. If your E is up, just throw the E on them. Keep M1ing. Like certain rounds in the BPL tournament, I would just walk up to Jeter and I would just hold M1 down. Like I wouldn't even heal a Verse or Proster. I would just hold M1 on him. And like if you ask Jeter, he would know exactly what I'm talking about, because like I would literally just walk up to him and hold M1. And it's like, it's not just the thing I do, it's just the thing Oldur does. That's the champion. It's so simple, and it's just not fun. I don't like playing him that much.
All right. I'm interested now, when we're on this topic. I think about your growth as a team, because if we're going back to the Overconfident era once again, you guys have been like the super team, kind of like you said you thought you would be. You've constantly been the best team in NA, just winning like almost every round of Battlerite. There are one, maybe two exceptions, I think.
1 week, yeah.
Yeah, 1 week you didn't win Battlerite, and
got second.
Yeah, wow. So how much would you say that you've grown as a team from then to where you are now?
I think we're all, the most important part as us as a team is that we're all really good friends. We're not just playing Battlerite just because, like, oh, we're getting money. We're all having a lot of fun with playing, like, competitive Battlerite. We're all really good friends. We always laugh with each other, always have fun. Like, our comms during the BPL tournament, we were all just so happy when we were winning, and it was awesome. And just, like, going through all those tournaments as a team, like, you really get to know them personally, and they really become your friend and all that. So we're being at a team for so long now, like, I think almost, like, 10 months. We definitely work better as a team, but that just comes with any team that plays really long. But we've grown like a personal connection with each other now.
All right, but is it hard to keep like improving when you're constantly winning?
Well, the thing is, we may be constantly winning, but we never don't have a challenge. Like we always have Young Sung to worry about. They're always challenging us. They're a really, really good team. Like back in Battlerite, like every time we won Battlerite, it was like a really, really close game. So we're not just like sweeping every team, even though in finals that's what happened. But like that's just because like certain patches, certain comps. In all reality, this game is a lot more comp based than skill based. So certain stuff like that's gonna happen. But with teams like Fable and Young Sung, we always have room to improve. We're never sweeping like every team all the time. So there's always things we can improve on.
All right. It seems like for playoffs though, it was like because Young Sung they like swept everything in groups, right? And you won everything in groups except your games against Young Sung, right?
Yeah.
But still, it seems like when you came into playoffs, there was like this extra gear that you could shift into. Would you say that something happened between groups or playoffs, or that just made you better, or?
I think what was the problem is that since it was a new patch, my team was still playing comps that would have been good last patch. Like I tried Xander, and Xander's not that good at all. And then we tried a verse on Taya. We tried like Taya, Rygon, Ulrich against their double support comp. And then Proster doesn't normally play Rygon. We just wanted to try it out. And then Verse always plays Taya, but it's not the best pick in this stuff like that. So when it comes down to it, we were just picking really bad comps into their double support stuff. And at the time, Young Sung wasn't scrimming anyone with the double support comp, which is fine. That's a smart idea. So like no one figured out like how can we beat this. So we were at just like a lost for words. Like we had no clue what to do to beat this double support comp. I did think of a comp that could beat it. I'm almost positive, but we never played it because Rook I've Oldur is just super OP. So we played that against them, and then that obviously beat the double support. So.
Are you willing to share what that comp would have been, or do you want to keep that up your sleeve?
No, yeah, I'll say it. Freya, I was thinking about playing Freya, Jumong, Oldur, or Freya. There's like 3 renditions of it. Freya, Jumong, Oldur, Freya, Jumong, Auric, or Thorn, Jumong, Auric. Yeah. The reason for Thorn is because he has a lot of healing reduction with his Thorns, and then Jumong has the healing reduction trap. If you're going against 2 supports, healing reduction is really good. So Jumong can pump out damage with the healing reduction, and so can Thorn. And then Auric is just really good. And then Oldur also has healing reduction. So basically just building a comp that's really good that also has healing reduction to go against that double support stuff.
All right. Interesting. See if you have to bring it out in at the LAN.
Yeah, maybe. They're pretty good comps, not just for double support stuff. Good comps in general.
Yeah. Okay, so you're on top right now. You won the BPL. I would like to switch perspective and look at the bottom of the table, because I talked about in my last interview with Minnie from Game On over here in EU. We talked about promotion and relegation, and I found it to be quite an interesting topic because I've been quite skeptical about the format when it comes to promotion and relegation. The fact that basically, or hypothetically, 3 teams could get relegated in one season from the BPL, right?
Yeah.
And 3 new teams could come in. When you think about that, it's not that big of a deal. But then when you think about the fact that 1 year has 3 seasons, it made me think that, holy shit, we could see a lot of teams just flying in and out and back and forth in the bottom of the table. And that maybe that would cause some sort of unstable space, right?
Yeah, it could be pretty weird because like I said before, the game's kind of comp based. So, for example, like if 3 teams really did lose to Rising Stars teams, all the Rising Stars teams got put into the BPL, then the next season of BPL, if hypothetically if those 3 teams that just got put in were the bottom 3 again, and they were about to get relegated, the teams that got relegated from last season would probably try to get their spot back, right?
Yeah.
So they could get back in the season, or they could not. It could just be like a really weird thing with like these random teams going in and out. I get what you're saying. It's like a really bad cluster of like teams going in and out again and again at the bottom.
I mean,
it's same teams too. So it'd be weird.
Yeah, I'm a big LCS fan. I watch a lot of EU LCS, and that's kind of what I felt before watching the EU LCS, how the bottom of the table, but that's 2 teams, and it's twice a year, and I still thought that was a lot. It's like, holy shit, here's that team again that we haven't seen in 6 months, and they'll be here for 6 months, and then they'll be gone, and then maybe some new team, and they'll just...
And then in another 6 months, they're going to come right back. And
and... but when I talked to Minnie, he was like, nah, I don't think it's a problem. I think it's a good thing. He looked at it like, I don't think see it as 3 chances to drop out. He looked at like the opportunity for new players to come in and want to play for the BPL, and how the opportunity of getting into the BPL, the positives of that kind of beats the negatives that could come from the 3 relegations.
No, yeah, I would probably agree with that. I think it's really good for people like in Rising Stars to get like a taste of what the BPL is and all that. So having, especially since like in NA there's like, or in EU even, there's going to be like 10 really good teams, and then all the other teams are going to be like way lower than all the others. So just the fact that like you can have those like 3 teams that are going to be in the BPL, and then some might get relegated, and then they're going to come back in the BPL. Those teams are going to want to like really battle for their spot in the BPL, so because they're just going to be trying their best to battle for relegation and all that. So I think it could definitely be a good thing, because it's giving, like Minnie said, it's giving a lot of opportunity for players who are trying to be in the competitive scene.
You, as a player, I know you like play a lot of the other Grand Champion players, and there are probably a lot of Grand Champion players who aren't in the BPL right now, who might still be scrimming in in-house leagues and stuff like that. I see that from time to time, at least on European streams. Are there any players in like the North American top tier level that you know are competing in the Rising Stars that you're looking forward to maybe seeing in the BPL?
Blackie, Crooks, and Blackie, Crooks, and Guess. That's a Rising Stars team I'm really looking forward to. And then Unimportant, Arcton, and Your Attack. So those are 2 really good Rising Stars teams. And then
I think I saw Finlev tweet that they won, didn't he?
Yeah, that's the 3rd team I was about to say. Yeah, Finlev, Doep, and Mr. Hudat. Mr. Hudat actually subbed in for me on one of the BPL games. Yeah, so I had to go to prom. So yeah,
all right.
Their team actually won, so they're for sure gonna be in the next season of BPL, which is really cool.
Okay, so you know all these teams, you know all these players, like these are pretty much all players that even I recognize, right? If you like compare, let's say, the bottom half of the table of BPL right now with those 3 teams, from what you know of them, how big would you say the gap is? Like,
I don't think the gap is that big at all. I think all those teams, like the bottom three teams in BPL, which are the NA BPL, which are it's Entropy, Noble,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure since Noble got last place, they got relegated in
Yeah.
for Mr. Hudat's team. So Entropy, and then I can't think of the third. I think it's Empath.
Yeah, it could be Empath. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Empath, I think all of those teams compete with the Rising Stars teams. I think they're all definitely because the thing about like the Rising Stars teams, Unimportant's team and Combo's team or Doab's team, Mr. Hudat's team, they play like one composition. Like Unimportant's team, for example, they play Rook, Jumong, Paloma, and that's all they play. So when it comes down to it, since the game is kind of comp based and all that, it'll be easy to find a comp that can counter them. So when it comes down to it, I definitely think the three bottom BPL teams and the three top Rising Stars teams, they're all very close skill wise. Definitely they can take games off of each other back and forth for sure.
All right. How to expand on that then? How competitive do you think the North American BPL has been, the league?
I think it's been really competitive, honestly. Like a lot of upsets. Like no one expected my team to lose to Youngsung twice in group stages, and then no one expected Fable to lose to Noble in group stages. So because like that's the top team losing to the bottom team like, out of nowhere. So a lot of upsets, and my team, Fable, and Youngsung are always really competitive with each other. So having those interesting like three teams that always produce interesting games is really good for the scene. So I'd say it's pretty competitive. I'm not going to say it's more competitive than EU because that's just not true. EU scene is a lot more competitive. They have a greater variety of strong teams, but I'd say NA is still pretty competitive.
All right. Okay, so interesting. Glad to hear your thoughts on that as well. Let's go back to your team because you were one of the teams that got signed by a sponsor. Spacestation Gaming picked up Overconfident going into the BPL. How did that happen? How did that partnership come to fruition?
We always got like a lot of people asking us, and we wanted to try. And since like the competitive scene was fresh in Battlerite, we wanted to try and like we waited for so long because we got offers like a couple months after we even became a team. We started getting offers, but we just kept waiting and waiting and waiting because we knew like a big competitive scene was coming up soon. So we wanted to wait for that like one really good sponsor, and because we didn't want to go with someone and then like the next day someone asked us that has like a way better deal. So we tried to wait as long as we could, and then we had that offer from Space Station Gaming, and it was a really good offer. So we just decided to go with them, and they were really nice people, really nice guys. So they pretty much just contacted us over Twitter, and that was that.
All right. So what has it meant for you then, as a player or as a roster, to be a part of Space Station Gaming and not just the three of you calling yourselves Overconfident anymore?
It feels kind of the same. Besides, like you just have those like really cool benefits and stuff from being part of an org, but it's still pretty much the same. Like we don't have to like do anything that we don't want to or any of that. Like we're pretty much just the same team, just we're called Space Station Gaming now.
All right. So what are the biggest benefits then, if we talk about those benefits of being on an org?
We get salary, which is pretty nice. And I'm only 17, so I don't really have to like pay for bills at the moment or anything. So
yeah, that's nice.
I'm just stocking up money. And, we are sponsored by HyperX, so that's really cool. We get I have a HyperX shipment coming really soon, actually, with like a mouse, keyboard, headset, mouse pad. So that's really cool. They have really awesome gaming chairs. Their merch is really, really cool. And since it's a newer org, they're not even a year old.
Yeah.
They still have a lot of time to grow and a lot of time to become a bigger org. So we're gonna like be there with them on that journey that they have. So it's gonna be really cool.
That is cool. I didn't know that they were as new as they were. That's impressive because they landed a partnership with like Utah Jazz or something recently, didn't
Yeah,
they?
Utah Jazz. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty cool. That's
That's pretty cool.
that's big for like a 1-year-old org. That you
For sure.
and it's like, I mean, once again, coming from having watched a lot of big esports like LCS, that level, you've never heard of the name Space Station Gaming before, since it is so new. So, yeah, kudos to the ones in charge of Space Station Gaming for making it happen. And for picking up a Battlerite squad. That's cool.
Yeah.
Alright, so, but you and Noble and Fable, you're the 3 orgs that got picked up in NA, and we've had one team picked up in EU by the organization United.
Yep.
Did you expect to see more teams get signed over the course of this season?
Not really, because I figured it was the first season, so a lot of orgs wanted to wait and see like how things were going to turn out for the first season. Probably wait till the second season to get some teams in. I know a lot of the teams in NA, they got like a lot of the teams in NA that didn't get sponsored, they still got offers. So since they still got offers, they just declined them. But I lost my train of thought. But no, I was expecting to see more sponsors in season 2. I was pretty surprised that we managed to get like 4 in total in season 1.
Okay. Do you think we'll see Youngsung with a sponsor coming into LAN? I mean, that's the big surprise to me, that they're not signed yet.
Yeah, I talked to Rare Peep about it, and I'm not going to say anything because I don't know if he wants me to, but
yeah.
they obviously did get like a lot of offers and stuff because they're like one of their top 2 teams. So they said they did want to wait. They were waiting for something bigger. Like we were. We just had that fear of like, what if we missed that great opportunity? And SSG seemed really good. So, but they said they just wanted to wait a little bit longer. I honestly don't know. They might pick up someone for LAN. If they don't, I'm pretty sure they'll pick up someone for season 2.
All right. Well, that sounds reassuring. But okay, moving on. So, hang on. Now I lost my train of thought. All right, so I want to go back to that point about how competitive the league has been, and you mentioned, at least in NA, how you, Youngsung, and Fable, like, how I interpreted what you said, that you were kind of the top teams in NA. Would you say we have enough good teams in Battle right now to send more than 2 teams per region to LAN in the future?
For sure. Like in EU, no doubt about it. Like EU, you could probably send 4, and you'll still have really, because like Dolos, Impact, they're the ones going to LAN.
Yeah.
But then Gatekeeper is obviously a very, very good team.
Yeah.
So, and then you have, what's another really good team in EU?
I mean, we have, yeah, and that's the funny thing. Functional Sociopath is the weirdest team.
Yeah,
I mean,
they didn't even perform that well, but they're like they should be like such a good team.
They faced second last. I'd say we had one team in BPL this season that was like a peg below the rest, and that was Pulse Drunk, and they finished last, and they were put in a sick group. Like that group was crazy. But aside from that team, like Functional Sociopaths were the worst team. And
they're a really good team.
Yes.
So that just shows how competitive EU BPL is. And then for NA, Atrocity Exhibition is a really good team. That's Fireblaze and Flappy. That's a really good team. Fable's a really good team. I'd say like we also have 4 really good teams, but I don't think we should send 4 to LAN. I think sending 2 to LAN is good, but I wouldn't be mad about 3, obviously. But I think 3 is good because Fable, Youngsung, and my team, we all can take games off each other.
Yeah.
So I think if you have those teams that can all take games off each other, then those teams should deserve to go to LAN. Like Fable should definitely deserve to go to LAN. It's just since they are at that part of the bracket, they had to go against us, and then we beat them. So
Yeah, and the same thing could definitely be said for gatekeepers, right? In EU.
Exactly.
Like, did you see that game between gatekeepers and
That
Dolos?
was it was the most intense game I've ever
Yeah,
watched. It was
that was
insane.
crazy. It's like
Yeah.
I at the last few rounds there, I was like, doesn't matter who wins. I'm going to be so sad that I will not see the other team in LAN because
Yeah.
this is top quality.
I was cheering for Dolos. I don't have any hard feelings with anyone on Gatekeepers, but I was cheering for Dolos just because I really wanted to meet Jurgen.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I was rooting for both of them, more on the Dolos side, but that was like that game was insane.
Yeah.
It was really fun to watch.
So, talking about EU and NA, I'd say that after talking to a few pro players and listening to the casters talk about EU and NA, there's this view about the two regions that NA is more aggressive and EU is more defensive in their playstyle. Would you say that that is true?
Probably, yeah. You always have like those outliers in EU. Like there's a lot of players in EU who are super duper aggressive. It's just when they're in that like team coordinated position, they end up just sitting back a little bit more and they're more defensive. But most of the NA teams, besides Youngsung, they play that really aggressive style where they just go in endlessly and kill them. You don't see a lot of teams do that in Europe besides Impact, which is I think why they're at the top. Honestly, is because instead of sitting like Youngsung, they're really good at like mastering what the Europeans do. Like they sit back, they wait for orb, they take their punishes very sparingly, and that's what EU does. But the thing about that is that in this game, it just seems like you get rushed down. That's what my team does a lot, and Impact does that a lot to other teams as well. So that's kind of my theory about why like Impact's one of the top teams. It's because they're not really afraid to go super aggressive like all the other EU teams are.
All right. How do you think that happens, that regions develop these different playstyles? I mean, it doesn't hold true for every team, but generally one region plays like this and the other plays like that. Where do you think that comes from?
I'm not really sure. I don't know. Maybe it's been just like a thing with EU in gaming for a while where they try to be more tactical about things, and then NA big brain just try and rush down them and kill them in 2 seconds. I don't know. I think EU are just more. They want to think things out, and they want to be more tactful about it, and they just want to really think about the decisions that they do. When NA is just kind of like run at them and kill them.
Okay, because in my first Battlerite profile, I talked to Jolts from Gatekeepers, and he said the same thing, right? That there are these differences, but he didn't really say it out loud, but he kind of blamed you guys for NA being quite aggressive, since you had been like the top performing team and Averse has his way of playing the Taya. You're quite aggressive as a support. We mentioned Proster in his movement. He can stay in a backline for weeks without dying, you know. So he kind of like alluded to the fact that you guys were on top in NA playing this way, then all the other NA teams look up to you. Do you think there's any truth to that? That you might have set some standard?
There could be. I don't really think so that much, because if you think about it, the other top teams like Youngsung and Fable, like Fable can be aggressive, but that's just because they have Keith on their team, and Keith is like the most aggressive player in the world.
All right.
So he'll just space in, even if it means his death, he'll still just space in. And then but Youngsung, the second best team, they don't play aggressive at all. So but I do think that since we do play extremely aggressive, that other teams might switch their team comps or playstyles because of that. That could be true.
Okay. We talked a bit about LAN and the teams going there, but I'm interested just if we could get some predictions down of how you think it'll go. First of all, do you have any knowledge whatsoever about the teams from the other two regions coming, like Korea and South America? I don't even know if the Korean teams are decided yet.
I don't know either. I think.
But I know the South American teams are decided.
Yeah, I just know the #1 Korean team. They play Thorn, Paloma, Destiny, and I was that's like a really good comp. But I was watching them, and my predictions is that the Korean players will be at the bottom, and then South American third, and then I don't know for EU or NA, but when I watch the South American players, I don't think their teams are like they can be good players. I just don't think they have like the ground to really improve on, like, because the #1 South American team, it seems like they're so ahead of everyone else that they can't like experiment other things, or like they can't go farther with their skill level, because I mean anyone's gonna look good if they're just stomping diamond players pretty much. And no offense to South America, but that's what it seems like they're doing. So I don't think the #1 South American team can be good. I don't see them taking a map off of NA or EU, but I can see them getting 3rd place for their region.
All right. But when it comes, if we go back to EU and A then, like you said, it might be hard to separate those two as a region, especially if we just look at the teams going to LAN, right? I could agree that EU looked a bit more competitive if we look at the entire BPL, but out of the 4 teams going to LAN, Youngsung, Space Station, Impact, and Dolos, do you have any feeling on that in those 4 teams?
I think I'm pretty confident going against Dolos. I'm pretty sure we can beat Dolos. I'm confident in that match. And then beating Impact would be really hard. That would obviously be like the hardest match we've ever played against. And then Youngsung, I feel like Youngsung is they're very similar to Impact, because both of them are very versatile in like what champions they play, and both teams are. And so going against Youngsung will be like our 2nd hardest match, and going against Impact will be by far probably the hardest match we've ever played. And then I'm really confident going against Dolos.
All right. Is that why you were rooting for Dolos secretively?
No, I've watched a lot of Gatekeepers play, and the way they play is just tilting to watch. So I didn't want to be the person, like, I'm in the European Discord and I see them like complain about like going against Gatekeepers all the time, like how it's so annoying because Rutha is like the most passive melee player ever. Like he'll go in and be out. He'll never even go in actually. He just does stuff while he's sitting in their spawn somehow. And it's just really annoying to go against. And it was annoying to watch, honestly, the fact that something like that works. So I didn't want to have to go against that. So I'm pretty happy Dolos won.
All right. So how do you think you guys will see the Impact in the finals?
Finals of LAN, yeah. I think they'll be in the finals.
And you guys?
For sure. Of course.
Yeah. And you'll win the finals.
I can unplug my monitor and win the finals.
All right, nice. Because you're the best Battlerite player to ever have lived, right?
In the universe.
Yeah. All right. Okay, nice. I think we've gone on for quite some time. Before we wrap things up here, I just wanted to, now that season 1 is coming to an end and we're going into season 2, if we just look ahead, is there something you would like to see change to make the competitive scene of Battlerite even better than it is today? As a finishing thought.
So that's a good question. I really want to see champion bans.
Yeah.
One per team, or even 2 per team, honestly. I think 2 per team can work. 1 per team is probably better for now. But 1 per team, 1 ban per team. Definitely want that. If they don't have that in the next BPL season, I will be tilted. And then better balance, obviously. I hope there isn't a patch where 1 comp rules all, like Rook, I have Oldur right now. So I hope Rook and Oldur get nerfed soon. That'd be cool.
But would the bans help that?
Well,
it would be a workaround.
Yeah, because like if we had theoretically if we had bans now and like my team banned Rook and Fable banned Oldur, then there would only be Iva left. Yeah. And I don't even think Iva's that OP. She's just really enabled by how OP Rook and Oldur are. So I think that's why like bans are so important, because like if like you have like a really lame patch, one comp is just destroying everyone, you could just ban out the problem in that comp and then you won't have to play against it. Or like, and you can punish people for one tricking. Like, this has always been my opinion. Like, if you're at the top competitive like level of a video game, you should know how to play. You should not know how to play one champion. Like, you should know how to play multiple champions. So I think adding bans, it would influence people to play a lot more champions than just one. So that's another reason I really want bans. But mostly like my biggest thing would just to be to add bans.
All right. Okay, so if people see this interview and they think, hey, this Bloom guy is really cool, I want to see more of him, where can people find you?
You can find me at Bloom Battlerite on Twitter, or you can find me at Bloom on Twitch.
All right. Is there anything you would like to say before we wrap this up?
NA greater than EU Omega lol.